Hello and welcome back to the Dual Screens podcast. I am your host, Andy, and joining us once again for I think the fourth or fifth time on this show is Mathieu Cote, game director of Dead by Daylight and product evangelist over at Behaviour Interactive. Mathieu, welcome back, buddy. How you been?
I've been good. I've been stuck in a box, but very happy. I mean, we keep busy.
Yeah, a lot to be happy about too. So this is going to be a nice, to the point interview, very surgical, very precise,
Clearly,
a lot like DBD itself.
clearly professional here. We're all
Yes,
professionals.
yes, for the first time in a very long time. I want to kick things off with a fun little icebreaker question that I went back and forth on all of last night while I was trying to get some sleep. But it's a question that I know the answer to, but
Okay.
I'm gonna ask it anyway.
Is it a test? Am I being tested?
I don't know.
Okay, shoot. I'm ready.
Why is this fan base so incredibly horny?
I'm not sure where that thirst comes from. Maybe it's, as a general rule, people are horny.
They are.
Maybe it's just not this community, or maybe we just allow people a space where they can express this somehow. I don't know. Maybe there's probably a lot of very smart people who made studies about the different links between horror and sex.
That's
I mean,
it.
obviously, there's a lot of cliches of these things, but there's a link somewhere in there. It's high emotions and intense, visceral human reactions. So I guess it's all tied together.
Yeah, those two things. That's how I know the answer is just sex and horror are just so they're interwoven throughout history. So it's just funny seeing some of these like offshoot Dead by Daylight subreddits that are just specifically about
some of them we have to vigorously ignore.
And whoever is running your Twitter handle is like a hero, because that guy must be, or girl must be, seeing so many things.
There's a few Twitter people, but yeah, one or two are magicians at what they do, for sure.
A lot of folks going to horny jail on that Twitter. All right, speaking of things that turn me on, Resident Evil is coming to Dead by Daylight.
Like, how holy shit, batshit crazy is that?
Oh my god. You had this gorgeous yet intense trailer of Meg getting murdered by Nemesis. Which I do want to ask you, how do you guys pick who gets killed in these trailers? Is it like a coin toss or a name in a hat thing?
The thing is, in our game, the jock, like the action hero, is Meg. She embodies that fit, powerful, confident hero character. So whenever we need to really drive the point that, this person could crush our hero, then that's Meg. Meg is the jock in the game. She's the tough one. It's sort of going to the highest already and just breaking. I guess it's like a prison thing, you have to find the biggest one out there and shank them. I guess I've never been to jail. I've been to horny jail, but not real actual jail.
Sure. It's just funny seeing people's reactions. Like it's like a personal attack, like, oh my god, you killed my Meg, or you killed my David, like for the fourth time in the trailer.
To be fair, these characters die every game. Almost every game.
Right. But death is not an escape, Mathieu.
Oh, well put.
All right, so Nemesis, Leon, Jill, Resident Evil. Let's talk about how this whole collaboration came to be. What were those conversations like with Capcom? Were you just like, we got Pyramid Head, so you can't say no to this? Because you'll kind of look like an asshole if you don't put this in our game. What were those chats like?
No, that's not the kind of thing we say. But, interestingly enough, for the last year, I think we started talking about Dead by Daylight as the Hall of Fame of horror.
Right.
The introduction of Silent Hill and with the the large selection of legendary movie icons that we have in the game. It is really a place where legends of horrors can live side by side and be featured and be honored to a certain extent by appearing in this universe that we've created. So the conversation was not that difficult. Essentially, getting in touch with the right people is usually the hardest bit. And once you know who you're talking to, and the person is like, "Yes, I can make those kinds of decisions," it was a simple enough conversation. I think that they totally they were aware of the game, which is already a big boon. And they I think that people now see, we've shown time and time again that we are able to respect the property that they've created and pay homage to what they stand for and honor them in a way that is respectful, and it's just a great way to showcase what your universe is. And the fact that we can sort of mix and match 20 years of Resident Evil and just create not a summary, but what do you call, like a sneak peek, or just a sample of what is Resident Evil, and put that in our game. It's really interesting too, because we don't have to do just one bit. It can be a bunch of different bits that we feel are great about this franchise, and put them all together, and they make sense in our universe, which is also really cool.
Was Nemesis always the go-to option for the killer? Did you guys think about maybe getting a tyrant in there or something else? Or is he always like,
No,
you know what,
we
it's got to be Nemesis for this?
everything was under consideration. Like we thought about all the possible ways we could go about doing this. And when we talked to Capcom at the very beginning, we came to them with a plan. And we were open, obviously, to them having feedback or suggestions, but we came with a plan, and the plan was Nemesis, because we thought that he has a special place in the Resident Evil world, and he's just, I mean, they're all terrifying, but he has I think I don't know, it's a more intimate and intimidating presence. We thought he would fit really, really well, and he does.
Yeah, he seems like the easier pick would on the killer side, because Tyrant has been around for a long time, but he lacks that Nemesis charisma, that like sense of like you're gonna get fucked up if he's in the same room with you,
Yeah.
kind of feeling. But how do you go between like settling on a Leon and a Jill when you have like a Chris or a Claire, and there's so many other main characters to choose from?
Yeah.
What was that decision like?
That was a much tougher one. Uh, because yes, you're right. And if you continue, there's like Ada Wong, and there's other really interesting characters in the Resident Evil universe. They created a lot of characters that you have a lot of empathy for, and you follow their story, and you feel really connected to them. So this was a much tougher call. And again, it was a matter of going to what we felt was the best representation, and also the more iconic in a certain sense. Like if you say Resident Evil to 100 people, what is going to be the character that pops into the most people's minds? And I mean, I don't think there would have been a wrong answer to this, but hopefully this was the right one, or one of the right ones.
So what can these new players do? Let's start with Nemesis. What does he bring to the table in terms of his abilities and his
interestingly enough, Nemesis is most of his power is pretty straightforward. It's a tentacle attack, which is really cool, and it's a sort of a build up also over time that gains him a couple of different abilities, which is bits and bobs taken from other characters, so that we've seen before in some way or another. But then the big twist is the zombies.
Yeah.
So yeah, putting AI in the map, putting those shamblers around that just sort of throw a wrench in people's plans, I think was the I mean, we couldn't do Resident Evil without zombies. We had to find a way to make it happen. And this is just so cool. Like every time we do a new killer, we really try to make something that will force people to reevaluate how they play the game. Like literally, some of your strategies, they don't work anymore. Just they're
Right.
out the window. You have to figure something else. And that's sort of the goal each and every time. So I think that we managed to make a killer that is immediately fun to play with. And when you play against, it's kind of thrilling because it brings something that you've never seen before after 5 years of creating new characters.
Yeah, I feel like it isn't so much how this killer is better than the ones that came before him. It's like it's how can we make this one feel different and special and
Yeah.
unique in this own little world we've created. Uh how soon is he gonna get a rocket launcher?
It's
And was
funny
that up
because
for consideration at any
like
point?
that's the second time I talked to someone who asks about the rocket launcher, and we talked about it at some point. It came up during some of the conversations,
Mhm.
and it's just like we don't have weapons in the game. I
Right,
mean,
right.
technically, the Death Slinger has a gun,
Mhm.
and it was really
Technically.
interesting for us to bring in an actual weapon, and it's very specific in the way it was created. Rocket launcher. I mean, the closest we got to adding the rocket launcher was some of the early conversations about the Mori.
Yes,
We
I was
thought
just gonna say
maybe
that. Yeah.
maybe that would have been the place for it, but even then, I think it felt a little silly.
That would have been so wonky. Like you have this giant hulking
Yeah,
beast, and then he just whips out like from his trench coat this rocket launcher. It's like, well,
and that's the he's so big
feels a little
actually.
off.
Like
Yeah.
most of our killers, if you put them side by side with a survivor, they're like 7 or 8 feet tall. Like most of them are really big, but
Mm-hmm.
we made him bigger. Like
Mm-hmm.
so big actually that the first time we put him in the map, he didn't fit through the door frames, so we
Mm-hmm.
had to readjust a couple things. But he's as big probably as we can make a killer in Dead by Daylight.
So what you're saying is you're not gonna have what's her face from Resident Evil Village, Lady Dimitrescu, at any point.
I I can't talk about the future. Who knows what's gonna happen?
Because if you thought he
I
was
think her
tall,
hat wouldn't fit in the door
right?
frame.
Oh boy, talk about horny Dead by Daylight fans.
Oh yes,
Anyway,
no,
anyway,
we would be done
that's
after
it.
that.
That's really it.
Yeah.
What about Jill and Leon? What do they bring to the table?
So I think that the things that are really gonna be like every time we create a couple of new perks for survivors, there's usually one that's good and then becomes like middle of the ground and people use it, one that people forget about, and one that becomes the next thing that everybody goes insane about.
Mhm.
I think that what's going to happen with Leon and Jill is literally it's the mines and the flashbang.
Mm,
So the fact that you can, by repairing generators, and now I'm talking about specific mechanics, and it might change. It usually changes between the PTB and the
sure.
actual launch.
Mhm.
So right now it's by repairing generators, you sort of build up your capacity to throw these flashbangs or mines, and and those have kind of a big effect, and you can actually fight back a little bit
Mhm.
because both of these characters are so they're built around fighting back impossible odds.
Mhm.
And you've seen this and you've experienced it yourself playing the Resident Evil games, where you are fighting back against impossible things by using
Mhm.
these gadgets and just being resourceful. So we really wanted to bring that sense into these characters,
But just a little bit, not too much. You want to
just a
give
little bit.
you don't want to give them too much
That's it.
too
So
much
their
power.
holsters are empty, like every
Right.
time. It's like Bill from Left 4 Dead. Is like, where's my
Right.
gun? Same
Where's my
Ash Williams didn't have his gun.
He's got that chainsaw arm though, so he's got something to fight back with at least.
I'm sorry, what?
He's got that chainsaw arm. So
Yeah, but it doesn't have gas.
oh, yeah, that's true. But he can still kind of swing with it kind of
Uh,
wildly, like a maniac. Um
He's got ashy slashy. That's about
Assy
as much as we
slashy.
gave him.
Yeah, that's it. uh Raccoon City, the police department map looks incredible.
Yeah, how gorgeous is that
Oh
map?
my god. What was that like bringing this? This I feel like is when you think Resident Evil, you think about this police station.
Yeah,
Such an iconic map in the game.
yeah,
And
and
bringing this into DBD.
it's the second time we do that where we try to recreate the exact layout of a map as it exists. So the first time was with Silent Hill, and now with the Raccoon City Police Department, it's such an amazing, like it's big and it's beautiful and it's got a lot of different sort of atmospheres in it, and it's the most detailed map we've ever done. There's so many little like Easter eggs and little things that you remember from one setting or one thing in there. It's just ridiculously gorgeous. It's almost like we're getting better at this.
Right. Who knew? After 5 years, you might be getting better at this. Will we find like what's his face? Marvin's corpse hanging around from Resident Evil 2 somewhere in the corner?
If we had hid things here and there, would I spoil the pleasure of discovering it for you?
True.
I like you too much for that.
True. Yeah, that's true. That's really true. So how do you build off of this thing with Capcom now? Because Capcom has other horror IPs that they've done before. They've done
They have many games.
Dino Crisis.
They're an established company with lots of really interesting properties.
Devil May Cry.
And we now have a relationship with them. Right. You are correct.
And they also own Clock Tower, in case you didn't know that. That's
okay. I'm taking notes here in case I didn't know.
For you. Do you see yourselves building off of this? Or like I see a trend now. We have Pyramid Head, we have Nemesis, 2 video game franchises. Is this the current trajectory now when it comes to getting iconic faces in?
You have 2 points of data. You can definitely draw a trajectory with that.
I just did.
That being said, I think that one of the constants that we've been exhibiting is surprising people. So you can expect us to surprise you again.
I love it. Every time it's a shocker, though, and it's always worth it. This will no doubt bring in an influx of brand new players. I would say even more so than Silent Hill, because Silent Hill has a very loyal following. But compared to a Resident Evil, I don't think those two even come close in terms of fan bases.
We're not comparing them because obviously they both have their place in the Hall of Fame.
They do.
But we are expecting an influx of new players, and we actually, during our anniversary stream, I don't know if you watched it. It's kind of fun if you didn't. And Gabrielle, our community manager lead, she talks about how we are trying to encourage our players to be welcoming and provide guides and tips and tricks, because we expect quite a lot of new players, which we've already seen a bit that influx starting, and we want to make sure that they have the best possible Dead by Daylight experience. I mean, after 5 years, we are now at 27 survivors and something like 24 killers. It can be a little daunting at first. There's a lot to learn, a lot to understand. The great thing is, if you don't know anything and you keep getting surprised and freaked out, it's fun. It's a lot of fun in Dead by Daylight. But that's it. So having people around that are sort of helping you and helping you learn is great. So
nice. I think I also caught that your tutorial will be a little bit revamped and improved, and some
very much
bots in there to like help ease in the new players.
With the AI that we built for the zombies, the AI is also used for some of the tutorials, so that we can actually help bring people in and teach them about the game in a better way, hopefully.
So 5 years, that's a long time. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first played this game, I want to say it was maybe 6 years ago, it felt like, at PAX East. I knew it was going to be something special. Like, there was no doubt playing it, and seeing it come so far in 5 years is truly amazing. What are some of your fondest memories working on this game over the last 5 years?
Oh my. Well, on a very, very personal level, my first trip to Japan to go at Tokyo Game Show and meet our Japanese fans face to face, and the pure, unadulterated joy of the passion about being a fan that you have in Japan. I've never seen that anywhere else. It was absolutely magical. there was also this really absurd, surreal moment where I went on stage at the Twitch booth to say hi to some people, and there was a guy in the front row wearing a T-shirt with my face on it. And I, to this day, I think that's the most confused I've ever been in my life.
Oh my God. I need that shirt for our next interview. That's what's going to happen.
It's that weird purple perk,
Right.
with my sort of weird face I made on it. Anyway, but we did a nice little, like a stroll down memory lane during the anniversary at the beginning, and I talk about a few of these really cool moments that we've had, and it's just been such an amazing. Oh, dog, we've your dog passed by. I'm sorry.
He just walking in. Yeah.
Adorable.
Cujo.
Okay, Cujo. Yes,
Cujo,
of course.
Yeah. It's a very
But
appropriate.
but yeah, it's just been insane. It's just been so good to us, and we've been able to accomplish quite a lot because of that, and we've been able to help a lot of people do crazy things, and we've seen like the progression of a lot of our content creators and the people we feel like we grew up with to a certain extent, so yeah, it's been absolutely fantastic. I couldn't be happier. Wouldn't trade that for the world.
What does year 6 look like for this game? We've had some bits and pieces, more killers, more maps.
More killers, more maps,
Yeah.
more survivors, more we're going to do a lot more with the archives. I can tell you that. The story in this, we realize how much people want to hear about the lore of the game, and they want to go deeper. We'll get them there. We'll show you stuff you didn't know you wanted to know about. And there's definitely going to be one or two really interesting new entries in the Hall of Fame.
Oh my God, I cannot wait. This is what I love about this game so much. It has like a no end in sight vibe to it, and I feel like I want to play this game well into like my late 50s with like when you add like the 50th killer at some point.
Oh my God, I'm already exhausted just thinking about it, but I'll be there. Joyfully, I'll be there.
And I'll have like my Matthew shirt when the time comes. At the next event, at the next like PAX East, when things are back to normal, I get to see you.
I would love to go back to these events.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what the future holds. I don't know how things will pan out. But meeting people face to face and being able to share in the absolute joy of being part of the Dead by Daylight experience is something that I look forward to.
All right, Matthew, I think that's a good place to end it. Any final remarks?
Ready?
Words? I know it's already been half an hour. I want to cry. We're on a tight schedule. Do a quick pitch on the Resident Evil.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that nobody knows yet.
Give me the top secret sauce.
So that's it. The one thing that we haven't told anybody yet. You're the first that I tell this to, but you're not allowed to talk about it before we actually do it. But still,
of course.
Legendary outfits are going to be coming for the Resident Evil chapter.
Oh boy.
And Chris and Claire.
Oh boy.
Will be. You'll be able to be playing these characters.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So as of today, so Stephen tells me that yes, it is as of today, because we will have be in the future back when.
So we will have this beautiful content on the 15th of June, and you'll be hearing this awesome interview after the fact.
There you go.
To keep all those fun, juicy details.
Yeah.
And I won't tell anyone.
Holding on to this like this for the next couple of days.
Listen, much like the trajectory of you getting more video game horror IPs into DVD, one can look at Heather and the Lisa legendary skin, and you can have a similar conclusion.
It's not a huge jump to conclusion. You're
right.
But it's happening.
Matthew, thank you so much. I wish we had more time. I love chatting with you.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All the best with this new amazing content. I cannot wait to play it. I'm so excited. And that's Dead by Daylight, June 15th, Resident Evil. If you're not playing it, I will hunt you down and punch through your wall and do stuff to you.
Okay. Is that a promise? Okay. All right.
All right, listeners, thank you so much. And as always,
Cheers, everyone.
please be excellent to each other.